Dad, I can see your face.
Goofy ball.
Dad, why is there black stuff all over, like outlining you?
It's because it's got a weird background. That's why.
Why? How did you make that background? You didn't do magic. How did you actually do it, Dad? Can you pick backgrounds?
Yeah, you can pick your own background. You can pick your own background. Tom?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing good.
Good man. It's going to be you, me, and Lana today.
Okay.
As Dan
Dan's golfing.
golfing.
Dan's a golfer.
He's a golfer. So
Why is he golfing?
Was that Kate or Levi?
that is Kate. Kate is hanging out.
Okay.
You know, yeah, we have Mrs. Kate here today.
Good deal.
Yes. And I think we're just waiting for Lana, and then we're going to dive in. But yeah, I think, you know, when they said they wanted to do a golf outing, I said, that is
That's Dan's.
that's for
forte.
Dan. That's not
Yeah.
David. If it was David, then
I don't even own a set of clubs. I would probably just embarrass Integrity Capital out there.
that's what I said. I said most
Yeah.
people would stop doing business with me if they saw me play. So, okay, let me see if Lana's gonna hop on here. Oh, okay. She said she's on the phone with David. Okay.
David.
David
He's not-
Talafero, he's the lender fit guy, and we've been
Oh,
we've been
okay.
through some you know, issues on lender fit, just trying to, you know, addressing that question you have, some of the other, you know, sort of issues that we're doing. So I'll probably just get going, and then if she hops on, then we'll go from there. So what I wanted to do today is spend some time talking about the goals for 2021. And as we thought through this, there's really, you know, I'm going to, you know, talk about it under the guise of the company goals, and then we're going to, you know, pull it down to an individual level, where you guys are going to, you know, have your own individual goals. And then on your individual goals, you know, I really want you to, you know, pull it into, you know, I really want you to pull it in. In fact, you know, I'm probably going to record this just so I don't have to do it twice. So.
I think you are. It looks like it's actually recording.
Oh, good. There we go.
Yeah, it's saying on mine at least.
So the idea here is we wanted to have 5 major goals that we're focusing on for the year as a company. And then we'll pull it down to you guys on an individual basis to have you have your own goals, and then really, again, pull that into, you know, because again, we have our reasons why from the company level, which is good. And I think everybody's on board with those, but I want it to also be personalized, meaning that, you know, Tom, you have your own whys, you know, family and some of the things that you want to try to accomplish personally. And I think that's really important from a, you know, motivation perspective and things that you want to try to achieve. So we'll start with the first one, which is, this is just more of a, revenue top line goal, is we want to get to $1 million in fees for the year. And so when we broke that down, the sub element of that is 67 deals a year. So that, we kind of average, I think, $15,000 or $16,000. 1,675 ticklers a year, 5,460 touches a year, and we just obviously said about 105 a week. Okay. So all of us collectively are going to pull together to accomplish these things. Okay. And so, that's just the numerical element. So because again, we're just focusing on activities. If we do the activities enough, now that we have some momentum and the foundation, and you'll see the other thing that's going to get us there. So I figure, the activities plus what John and I talked about is really getting more targeted, more focused, to really have a top 200 list. Okay. So what we're going to develop over the next month between you, me, and Dan, and possibly a new guy, because I'm about halfway through the interviewing of a guy that we might hire, who's another producer, is we're going to come up with a top 200 list of the top 200 players, direct and indirect, that we want to start focusing on going after. And then we're going to work off of that list. We're not going to deviate per se with, our normal activities, but we're going to be a little bit more intentional, a little bit more proactive about what we're doing with respect to our goals. Because if we start going after bigger deals, okay, larger transactions, then that's going to start to change the dynamic of, what we're trying to accomplish. If we're just going after larger deals, if all of a sudden we're doing, 20, 30, $40 million deals, well, we're going to hit our goals a lot different than we would if we're not. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the ways we do that is that we're focused more on, just adjusting those things. Okay. In that targeted area, here's really the thing that we looked at and started saying, okay, let's try to hone it in to areas that we feel like we can get really good at, niches, that we can have a lot of success in and just become resident experts in, was these areas: apartments, okay, blanket mortgages, which again goes on single family built for rent, car wash financing, because I think that's still going to be a good long-term play, self-storage financing, triple net, and then warehouse. Okay. So those are the areas that, I want to give more attention to. It's not that we're not going to do other things. I'm just saying that wants to be our core, because, we'll get a lot more momentum. It'll help us whittle down some of the lenders we're working with, so there's just a lot to getting into these lanes of niches that I think will be helpful for us to be more successful. The beauty of that too is that when you take the niches and you implement them, that helps us back into it and say, well, then who are the top 200 people we're going to go after? and then we can start having a working list that we're going off of. So we're being super intentional about saying, hey, we're just not being passive, like, okay, this deal came in, but we're like actively seeking out these people that we can try to work with. Okay.
I gotcha.
So does that make sense? So Lana, I know you're hopping on here and I know you were on the phone with David. But I'm just walking through that first goal. For the first goal of the year for next year is $1 million in fee for the company. We're talking about company goals and then, some of the things that need to happen to get there, which is the activities, 67 deals a year, and then the top 200 targets. So we're really going to be super targeted on who these players are that we're going to go after for larger deals. So we're going to see maybe some larger transaction. We see, we have the Best Way deal right now, and the deal with Stacy, but I want to see more of those, if that makes sense, right? Because again, we're doing the same amount of work for this transaction that is a $10 million deal than the one that's $1 million, so to speak. That makes sense. And in many instances, I think it's easier to work with the larger ones than it is smaller ones. So
yeah.
So any questions on that?
Question on that for the first section, the 5H3 and D1.
Yeah. So let me answer that. So, and this will come down to the individual level. We're going to really have you and Dan and with the, any Lona. So this includes me too. So I'm just as much in this bucket, is generating 5 new H3 and D1. This will go hand in glove with the target, players, but we want you to generate 5 new H3 relationships. So
okay.
What's an H3 relationship?
Yeah, it's a great question, Lana, and you're probably not as up to speed. So an H3 relationship is somebody, so when I looked at our target client and who we've had success with and who ends up being, a good feeder source. Okay. So somebody that's an ambassador, Jeremy Veach is one of those that sends us a lot of business. They're, and they meet this criteria. So it's high integrity, high connectors, and high givers. So that's why we call them H3. So these are people who have a lot of integrity. They're high givers. So they're, tends generally to be the very, altruistic. They're, philanthropic. They just have an attitude of giving. And they're high connectors. They're well connected within the community. And they're just out there connecting.
So like David Robertson.
Correct. Yep, exactly. Dave Roberson's a perfect example of that. Dave Roberson's a great example. Jeremy, Mike Park, I would consider an H3, Tom. Obviously that's why he's in the H3 organization, but people that fall within that, guys that are just, they're out there, it's all 3, meaning that you have to have someone that's, they have to have integrity, right? That's just, it's got to be there. Some of you trust and they're going to do what they say. They're not perfect, but they're permanent, as I say. They're, high connector. They've got to be knowing a lot of people and out there. Otherwise, it sort of defeats the purpose. And then just high giver. They have a mentality of giving. It's what they do. It's who they are. And so all 3 of those take place. So that's who we're trying to keep developing these relationships with as we go. The beauty of it is, since we have that organization called H3 that I started, and we're actually going to be launching some new things this year. It's going to be fun, but that's a great way to, again, enfold people into it deeper. A D1 is a direct relationship, Lana. It's somebody that, a good example, that would be a Terrence Berry. It's somebody that we're going to do multiple deals with. They fit our mold. We enjoy working with them. They're pleasant. They meet our, our direct criteria. And it's not something that we're just doing a one-off deal, we're probably not going to do another deal with Sean Bowman. Maybe we will, I don't know. But, it's he's a one-off, we're not going to do repeat business with Sean. But someone like it's a Terrence Berry or a Tom Manschreck or, pick your poison. That's what we're looking for, is we want to develop these new H3 and these new D1 relationships. Okay.
Okay.
And so that's the first objective company-wide that we're going to focus on next year. The second one is integrating all the processes into Salesforce. So right now, I engaged a company probably a month and a half ago to take all of our phase one process for the loan associates and put it onto Salesforce. So him and I, all throughout the week over the last month and a half, have been literally just going back and forth and back and forth. And there's been a bunch of iterations, and that'll get launched right at the beginning of January. So that phase one will be completely on Salesforce. What we're doing right now is using David at LenderFit to basically implement phase two into the LenderFit program. A lot of tweaks and refining that'll happen there. And then we're going to pull that all into Salesforce. Okay. And so everything's going to be on the same platform. You don't have to relearn something, Lon. It's just going to be all tacked in there. So we have a central place that we're doing everything, if that makes sense. So the major thing is to do everything on Salesforce. We can have all monitoring, all tracking, all processes, all client information on Salesforce. The beauty of Salesforce is it's a pretty robust platform, and we can do a lot of things. We could eventually even have our whole accounting system on there. So, when somebody pays, it all just kind of goes there, and then that attaches to Janice Weinbrenner, and she gets all of her data. So it's fairly robust. I'm not doing that now. I'm just saying for the sake of our goal for next year is to have all of the processes for phase one, phase two in Salesforce integrated for the year, so that we have everything in one place that we're working off of.
So Dave, so when that happens, would I be working out of the LenderFit or the Salesforce?
Salesforce. Yep. So you'll hop. So it's called an ISP, Lana, and what they do is they take that software and they'll like bleed it into Salesforce. So you'll get to log into Salesforce, and you'll do the same thing virtually on everything. And so you're not gonna have to relearn anything. And the reality is, Lana, as we go through, we're kind of in trial mode with David right now. We may get done in 3 months and go, this is a piece of junk, and we don't like it. Or we may go, hey, great, he can do 90%. I always say 90 because never going to get 100. But if he can accomplish 90% of what we want to do, it's probably a success, and then we'll just keep using that and bleed it into the Salesforce program. I've already, tested that, meaning that both David and our developer, Chris, for Salesforce has said that's not a problem. And Chris even said, Lana, that he could actually build what LenderFit is doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and I'm doing that kind of intentionally because I'm thinking, gosh, if I could pay a couple of, it'll be probably a little more expensive up front, but it's a one-time cost versus this ongoing cost with David.
Sure.
And we could just have that all in one, it's all on the same, platform. So, so we'll see. We'll see if David's able to accomplish what we hope.
Yeah.
He can. So
it's always good to have a backup,
Yep.
idea or something else that you could do. So. that would
Yeah,
be-
plan A, plan B. So
Yeah.
just in case. So, so again, so $1 million revenue goal. Number 2 is, again, goes with sort of our, core convictions, which is, systems, right? Implementing systems, getting better, taking those to the next level. So we have better processes, more centralization, simplification, things like that. Can you open that, please? Then if we can do, so then the third one is hiring and developing the capital markets analyst position. So this is the third leg of our goals, which is, one of the areas, and Tom's been doing a good job with what he can, but, he's trying to toggle 2 different worlds, which is, looking at new sources of business, but then simultaneously always looking for new capital all the time, in the areas that we're trying to focus. And so what's going to happen is we want to have, so what we've done, Dan and I have talked a little bit about developing an internship program with Thunderbird University, which really is more focused on people that are doing their master's degree. That's where Dan went, was to Thunderbird. It's a very credible university. So we've interviewed 2 people at the university who want to do an internship, real sharp guys. One of them dropped off because he just doesn't align with our culture, which was fine. That's what we want. We either want someone totally sold out or not. And so we would bring an internship on, and then we're going to have them build out that position. And that position really is having continual, ongoing daily conversations with lenders that we're trying to go after and target, and then having them build that out. And it'll be much more intentional. They'll be putting them in the database, but there'll also be a period of time, maybe in the week, that we'll have a huddle. So sort of a huddle up. See you guys. Love you. Bye. My kids are here.
Aw.
That was Mrs. Kate. And
You want to say bye?
you want to say goodbye, buddy? Come here. You want to say hello to everybody? So this is Levi.
Hey, Levi.
Hi, Levi.
Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Y'all ready for Christmas?
You all ready for Santa? Yeah. I know.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So is Lana and Tom. So
I'm not. I wasn't good this year.
yeah, that's
I
getting
said
cold.
Daddy was gonna be on the naughty list and get a lump of coal.
Daddy's getting a lump of coal this year, so that's okay. I've earned it. All right, baby. I love you.
Bye, Dad.
Bye. I love
Can I
you.
get one more?
So so that's the third one. The capital markets position is so that there'll be more intentionality around, presenting new lenders, us having a huddle around, hey, here's some stuff I'm trying to get done. Who should I go to, type of thing. So we're trying to be a little bit more intentional. And the reason why this is a big deal, Tom and I monitored this, I don't know, probably a year and a half ago. And we pulled some statistics. So we said, how many deals are we losing, just like that are dying for whatever reason? And then out of those lists, what percentage of that is due to something that we could actually do, right, to win them? And it was about 25%, if I'm not mistaken, Tom, it was somewhere in that ballpark, that we figured about 25% of the deals that we're losing was because we just didn't have the right capital source. And so the reason why we want to have this built out is that we have someone that's really just intentionally, with more fervor, Tom just doing it on sort of razor thin time, that's dedicated specifically for that. And then we believe by doing so that we're going to get some new, fresh, good capital sources that we should be able to close more deals, essentially. So does that make sense, what I'm saying on number 3?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. So number 3 really will tie with number 1 in many ways, but I think it's instrumental for us to be more proactive in the way that we do business with clients, essentially. So all these things kind of tie back to that ultimate vision that we're pushing for. The 4th one is hire 3 loan associates and a loan processor. So Lonnie, you're probably going to be so busy by the end of the year that we're probably gonna have to get another one if we do what we're trying to do. And so, that's the reason why I've been, pushing, leaning
I know.
right on this stuff is that, so that we have, we're prepared when we kind of, bring somebody else that falls under Lana and, starts getting trained to have, more bandwidth essentially, because at some point you're going to hit your capacity. And so we want to prepare for that so that we can bring somebody else on. And who knows, Lana might become a producer.
Never know. Someday.
Lana might wake up just like Tom did and go, man, I want to go sell.
Right?
I go, okay, let's do it. So we'll hire 3 loan associates. We have 1 right now that, so there'll be 1 more in Arizona and then 2 up in Utah. Okay. So we're going to expand into Utah for a couple reasons. It's a good market up there, and I know it well. I'm from there, and the other reason is more selfish because my mom's 77 and I want to be up there more. So there's a couple of reasons behind that. But so there's an individual that I'm about halfway through the process right now that looks really promising, that actually ironically is from Utah and moved to Arizona, who it looks like we might hire. So if he works out, it'll be great because he'll be a great liaison between us and Utah. So
Where at are you from in Utah, Dave?
Salt Lake City. Yep.
I lived there for like 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
What part of town were you in? Downtown? Do you remember?
All I remember is the street name was Garfield Street.
Garfield Street. I know Garfield.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you're probably midtown. It sounds like.
yeah, we were there for a very short time. My husband at the time had promises of all these wonderful things
Yeah.
when the economy was down. And so for construction, he was in construction. So we moved there and it didn't pan out.
Yeah.
But you want to hear a little funny is, so he was still working out of Arizona when we moved to Utah. And so I took him to the airport. We just moved into our house.
Okay.
I took him to the airport. It was snowing and I dropped him off. This is before cell phones and all of that. I could not remember my street name. I drove around for 2 hours trying to find my house in the snow with my
man.
son, who was only like 1. And I just wanted to cry because I had nobody to call. I didn't know
Yep.
anybody. I didn't have a cell phone. It was
I
just like,
know, that's crazy.
I ended up getting stuck in the snow and was able to get out, but it was just a most,
Stressful.
yeah, I got home and I just was in tears. I was like, oh, thank goodness. And I just happened to stumble across the street.
Wow. You're like,
It was
no.
very, very interesting.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a different, here it's like all street names. There it's kind of like, numbers, 13,
Yeah.
1400s, but it's still a little confusing. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I
that's
was pretty
fine.
young too, though.
Yeah,
I was
well,
23.
when we're 23, we don't know what we don't know, right?
Exactly.
Well, good. So that's the 4th one is again, expanding, growing, it takes people. So, we're going to add more people, Lord willing. If we, we're not going to force it, As you guys know, I'm pretty picky about who's going to come on here. And you should as well, right? You have to work with them. And so, so the reason why it's important for you guys, because you guys have to buy into all this too. It's not just me. It's you guys have to say, yep, we're on board with this. And then you have to keep your eyes peeled, right? So if you see somebody you like and you feel like they meet the culture, then, we want to talk with them. And you say, well, gosh, Dave, why would I want to do that? Well, again, it's to your benefit to put more people in the culture that will just accentuate, right, your experience here that much better. So, because I set the stage for the culture, but you guys are the ones that actually make it happen at the end of the day. So, so that's number 4. And then number 5 is, which goes right in line with what we're doing, is to partner with lender and the borrower to match the gospel and the poor and disenfranchised program. So here's what I mean by this. And this will get tightened up with some more specifics. We use a little vague because I'm not quite sure what it looks like. But right now we're doing like events and, a little separate event for the gospel, a separate event for the poor and disenfranchised. I'm trying to bleed those two together. Okay, so we're doing something like almost all the time within our process. So I'm just going to use this as an example. This may be what we do. I don't know. I'm just, we might partner with Feed My Starving Children. Okay. And then do something with them to, again, help feed starving kids. Okay. And then simultaneously placing the gospel into people's hands all over the world, all in the same vein. And so and that's what they do. And so, it might look like every time and it might be 2 groups, I don't know. So what happens is at the end of the transaction and at the beginning, we would, and this is going to be part of the whole thing, us building this out in 2021, is we're going to build out into the process a communication where we are presenting probably at the front end, the loan associate's going to talk about, our process. And then in that discussion, we'll say, hey, we partner with so-and-so, to feed the starving children. And here's kind of what it is. And on every deal, we donate X amount of dollars or whatever we decide that number is when the deal's done. And we don't want you to feel pressure, but we do always offer the opportunity if someone themselves wants to, outside of our own donation, would like to donate as well, then we always offer that opportunity at the end of the deal, right? And then when they end, we'll just kind of a follow-up, just, hey, just remember we're donating, da-da-da-da-da. So it'll all be part of the Salesforce process, and it'll get kind of communicated to them. But it'll just be this rhythmic, process that allows us to just, every single time, and it's all the time, we are doing the poor and disenfranchised, not as a separate thing, but it's literally just baked into what we do every day. So that our culture becomes more and more tangible, if that makes sense. Is really what I want to see more of, is how do we make it just deeper and in our process as opposed to something that's separate, if that makes sense. You guys tracking with me on what I'm getting?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Lana, thoughts on that?
Oh, I said yes. Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. All right, good. So basically that's what we're going to do. So as we go through this, I want you guys to think about too, like, if you know any places out there that kind of meets that criteria, share. Or if somebody that you really like, we're open right now to ideas. So those are our 5 big goals for the year. Lonnie, I don't think you were on here, but what's going to happen is we're going to pull down individual goals that we'll do with you guys individually, that some of it will tie directly to this, some will just be maybe, more positional. But it'll all tie into the company, the culture, et cetera. But what I was telling Tom, do you guys remember when I had you do the why exercise, Lana?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is, whatever goals we agree to, okay, because it's a cooperative effort, it's not a dictatorship, is that when we agree to those, then I want to tie in your whys, something that you're kind of going like, why am I doing this? Well, this gets me to that, right? Whatever that why is for you personally. And so it's something that's real personal. It's very much aligned with what you personally want to do. And then it just becomes something that sticks, so to speak. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what we want to do.
I like it. I think it's,
It's okay
I
to
know
give,
that we've,
it's
I
okay
like,
for you guys to say like, amen, yes, hello.
no, I like,
I won't be
I know that,
offended if you actually say something, so.
no, I know we've gone through like the goal process, you and I a few times. And I think it's good and exciting because it kind of like, it gives us some direction for like, what can we do, for the, the year. And I know a lot of like some of our like goals is like, outside of Integrity Capital, and like kind of reaching out to the poor and disenfranchised got derailed with this whole COVID
Yeah.
thing.
It did.
So it'd be kind of cool to hopefully get, be able to make more impact in that area. And hopefully, I know some of it's completely out of our hands, but
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
A lot of that was out of our hands, but I will say this, and Tom was on the phone today with John, but given all that we went through this year, we have had a very successful year. I'm going to tell you that. And we couldn't have done it without you guys. It's been a really successful year because we've had to navigate just pandemic, and I mean, it's been a mess. But we've been able to manage through it. We hired through it. We worked through it. I mean, so I'm very thankful. And I really feel like this was a real successful year for us and a good building year too.
Yep.
So I'm just excited what's going to happen next year, because I think it's going to be just that much better. And it's going to take us, from here to there, right? So we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna grow. We're gonna be challenged. All those fun things. So the final thing, and I guess this is more of a. I'm not gonna really go into number 2 because that'll be for a different discussion. But so here's what I want you guys to. This is your takeaway task. And I'm recording this, so Dan will have the same thing, because Dan is playing golf right now, Lana, just so you wonder why.
What?
He's really busy. He's got a lot on.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
struggling.
I see
Oh.
the importance.
Well, there was a golf tournament, Lana, that was presented to me to be a part of for the company, and that we could bring clients and da 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 da. And I said, that sounds great, but I said, if I come play golf and bring any clients, it is almost a guarantee they will not work with me again,
Right.
because I'm horrible at it, right? But I said, but Dan, right, is like a great golfer, and so is Nick Morrison. And so those two are out there representing Integrity Capital right now.
Nice.
Rubbing
That's
shoulders
nice.
and kissing babies and shaking hands. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Sure. Is the weather nice out there
oh
today?
yeah, it's perfect. It's
Nice.
couldn't be better in my mind.
It's 61. It's freezing for Arizona.
Yeah, we're in the like ready to freeze type of thing.
Yeah.
So the last one is this. This is your homework. I want you guys to individually and then we'll collectively make a decision on this. But if we meet all our goals at the end of the year, what would be something really cool to do as a team as a celebration, right? So I want you guys to think about that. What would be something really like cool and bonding and, you know, experiential that would be awesome for us to do? And I'm talking, I'm not just talking about like a dinner or something like that. I mean, that's going to happen. But I'm just thinking a little bit more. If we hit our goals, you know, what would be something really awesome to do together that would be a big deal and a huge way for us to celebrate our success. And so I want you guys to dream a little bit. Think about what would that look like? You know, what would, you know, and then I want, you know, next week we talk, we're gonna share those ideas together. Okay. So any questions or clarifications or pushback, even if someone says, oh, I think those are dumb, and I don't like that. So, you know, I'm open to feedback, criticism, pushback, you know, none of that would offend me.
Oh,
No, I like it.
I'm good. Yeah.
I think Lana wanted to ask if our, you know, big goal can involve cars or car racing. I
Right.
think she was going to ask about
That's
a
like
group
my favorite
track day
thing.
event, maybe.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing.
Yeah, it's
I was thinking more of a beach with the umbrella drink and
there you go. Maybe it could be like a beach with a car driving by and Tom's in it or
Yeah.
something.
yeah, right. I'll watch you,
Lana,
Tom, and while I'm on the
Lana
beach.
will go like this. Sayonara, Tom.
I'll hold the flag. Okay, go.
Take off, Tom. Well, I'm excited, super excited about next year. I'm super excited about our team and just, you know, what we have now, what we will have, and the direction we're going to head. So I'm yeah, excited to hear what you guys come up with too, just as some ideas. So dream away, and let's keep cranking away. Okay.
Right.
So
Sounds good.
good job, everybody. And